sound like heaven when you're singing over me? There's not a voice more constant. Your melodies, they never cease. Here I will stand in your presence, in my true identity. Doesn't it sound like, yeah, it sounds like, just like heaven. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. I just want more of you. I just want more of you. I just want more of you. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of you. 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 Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you.
Good morning, and welcome to the Hollywood Seventh-day Adventist Church. We're very glad that you've chosen us to worship with today. The script actually tells me to say that, but I think I really do mean it, because we're on our fourth week of our Hollywood-exclusive Apocalypse series. No, Apocalypse is not a Daniel and Revelation deep dive, and it's not a zombie bloodbath, though the title's a bit tongue-in-cheek that way. The word apocalypse roughly translates to a revelation or the lifting of a veil. And so during this series, we like to explore how God reveals himself in unexpected ways and places. I don't ordinarily go to the movies and say, Daniel Craig's performance in the latest Bond film really reminds me of Corinthians. And I don't fly to New York and peruse Jackson Pollock paintings and say, Calvary was, man, that was rough. You know, I think sometimes we start with these very basic, easy, literal parallels and comparisons, but I wouldn't say that fully captures the spirit of Apocalypse. It's not exactly about forcing our pop culture into our spiritual life so much as it is expanding what our spiritual life looks like. Simply put, Apocalypse is consideration for the world that we live in and how it joins forces with our ever-evolving relationship with God. This morning, my mom, Kirsten, will be exploring Orange is the New Black. It's a Netflix original series about female felons at a correctional facility in Connecticut. The characters stretch far and wide. They're young and old. They're black, white, Latina, Asian, buff, scrawny, murderous, shoplifting, hippie, uptight, ditzy, crazy, brilliant women. And an uncountable number of them have stories that are complex and intimate and important, especially and even ones that you don't want to get to know. One of these inmates is Tiffany Doggett. At the beginning of the show, she's a transphobic, xenophobic, shotgun-wielding Appalachia girl who spews slurs and condemnation down the halls. An easier way to put it is she's not likable. And yet 7 seasons later, after hearing her full story, you might employ some empathy. And our prayer this morning is actually sung by none other than Tiffany Doggett. And that's the challenge that we face you with this morning during our Movies, Our Prayers segment. Is there a correct way to pray? Is there a correct person to pray? Is there anything that might deem a person's prayer unworthy, or is a prayer simply a prayer?
'Cause I said change, Lord save me please. Save me from this disease that I feel so deep. 'Cause I see you, yes I hear you too. Yes, God, I see you do. God, save me from these chains. Save me from these lonely days. I lay here so in vain. 'Cause I hear you. Yes, God, I see you do. 'Cause I said change, yeah. And help me feel the rain, yeah. Can wash away the pain that won't stop, and my body vibrates when you talk to me. 'Cause Lord, I'll see you through. I love you. So Lord, won't you just save us from change. And help me from this maze. Help me rearrange. We all just wanna be free. And everything is not always what it seems. So I said peace, 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 peace. We all just wanna be free, 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 free from this pain that I feel so deep. And I said change, just save me from these chains. Save me from these lonely days, and let's just rearrange. We won't get out of this maze, and everything will be okay and remain, 'cause it's just peace, 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 yeah. We all just wanna be free, 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 free from this pain that we feel so deep. God saves, He saves us from these chains, saves us from these lonely days. We lay here so in vain, 'cause He just wants us to feel free, feel free from the pain that we feel so deep. So He brings peace, 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 peace from the pain that we feel so deep. God saved us from our chains, saved us from these lonely days. Lay here so in vain, 'cause we got out of the maze, and everything will be okay and remain.
But it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. And I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war He wages, He will win. And I'm not backing down from any giant. And I know how this story ends. Oh, I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. And I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle
sing a victory. I'm gonna sing a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord.
It's really wonderful that we get to spend this time in worship during quarantine, even though we're distanced. It's a real privilege. I wanted to share something that I realized about myself during quarantine. It was revelatory. It was came from some deep introspection, and it was actually a little bit scary for me to realize. If you know me, you probably know that I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Live long and prosper. I enjoy the series, especially Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and I'm really getting into Discovery, and of course Picard and Next Gen are just fascinating. I enjoy the plots, the character development, just every aspect of this series. I realized, though, when talking to a friend of mine, that I didn't know much about a supposed competitor. Some say that Star Trek and Star Wars are vying against each other. I never believed it. Because Star Trek is science fiction and Star Wars is fantasy. Star Trek happens in the deep future, and Star Wars happens a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Trek is really cool. I'm just kidding. And I realized that as my friend was talking about Star Wars, that I couldn't follow the plot points that they were mentioning. And I realized that I have actually, I'm pretty sure I've watched every film that's come out. And I started in college with episode 1, right? And then watched 1 through 3, and then 4 through 6, is it? And then with the Disney reboot, I continued watching. And even though I've watched them all, and I have quite a few friends, dear friends that are enthusiasts, I can't remember anything about it. And I realized during this quarantine that I actually have a prejudice against Star Wars. And I thought, how ridiculous is that? Me? Moi? With a prejudice? And I recognized that this perspective of this whole franchise disallowed me from being able to retain information about the films that I actually spent time watching, to understand the characters or have any sort of emotional attachment to the characters. I saw the plot points happen, and I thought, wow, that's neat how that character, I remember that they connected. I don't remember their names, some of them, and then when people get super enthusiastic about some new development that they come out with in the next thing, I just don't know. I can't. It doesn't stick in my head. But on the other hand, I can watch one episode, one time, of a Star Trek series. I can watch just one episode, and I'll remember all kinds of data points. I can remember all sorts of weird facts that they're just with me because I love this series, and anything that comes out of it, I'm just in it. I'm for it. I'm down for it. But I can invest, it seems, all the time in the world into Star Wars, and I'm not going to retain it. And I realize this is because of this prejudice that I have. I need to get over my prejudice against Star Wars, so that way I can at least appreciate it for what it is, connect with the people that identify so strongly with it, and that I can build relationships where for some reason there was that invisible, unknown thing that kept me from them. This is just a silly illustration that was very real for me and tragic, but not because of the fandoms, but because of the implications for the other areas of life that are important. That I can have a prejudice, because of a thought or a feeling that I have towards a certain group of people, or against an ideology, or against something else. I'm unable to retain information. I'm unable to build connection. I'm unable to emotionally invest in valuable, meaningful, priceless people. And what's strange is that Star Trek is actually about appreciating other strange new fandoms. I mean, worlds. I mean, other people's cultures and ways of living, and building those connections. And yet, I was not able to do that for something as simple and as silly as some fiction, a piece of fiction. What are the prejudices that you have in your life that are unknown to you? And I guess that's the question, right? I'm asking you what you don't know. And I'm encouraging you to ask God, what are the things that are keeping me from seeing someone else fully and be able to connect with them and appreciate them for who they are, simply because of something very superficial that doesn't hold the weight that I put on it. I have some announcements for you for this particular Sabbath. There's a number of them, so here we go. First, if you or somebody that you know is a part of the LGBTQIA community and has some sort of self-identification as that, we have resources that will be helpful, that you can connect with Kirsten about those resources, and her information is in the details below this video. If you would like to connect with a gender-specific ministry, a group, we have The Well, which is a women's ministry that meets every other Friday night. And we also have the men's group called The Men's Group. And it meets every other Friday as well, on oscillating Fridays. And we also have a midweek gathering on Wednesday nights that meets on Zoom. And that will continue even though we're moving back in person. If you would like to contribute to the Compassion Connection shower ministry of our church, we are still in need of gently used, clean, casual clothing for people to be able to slip into after their showers. That might include shirts or pants, socks, or underwear that's new. And so that way they can have something nice to put on after their showers. They don't have to slip back into the same things that they wore when they were going into the shower, and help them retain their dignity. It's a nicety. It's a very important nicety. It's a needity. And also, I've got a short video for you because we are coming back in person on August 7. And it's a very exciting day that's fast approaching. And these are a few of the protocols that we would like you to be aware of as we plan for that incredible first Sabbath and the ones that follow.
Welcome back to In-Person Church, almost. We're going to be back August 7th. church is going to look a little bit different than it did before the pandemic. Keep watching to hear more about those changes from a few of our friends.
As we begin our re-entry into worshiping together, we do ask that if you are sick or under the weather, that you do stay home and minimize the risk for yourself and others. Feel free to join us on Facebook, YouTube, or our Discord channel.
Do you want to be a superhero? Wear a mask. If you forgot your mask, we'll provide one for you. And singing is okay, but please wear your masks as you sing. I know it's inconvenient and a little bit uncomfortable. By wearing a mask, we're not doing it for ourselves, but to protect other people.
No water fountain?
Water fountain has been turned off, and we're no longer serving coffee at the coffee bar. So bring your own water bottle to stay hydrated.
So sorry, we're having no potluck for the time being.
I know when we come back, you'd want to hug, but physical contact is discouraged at this time.
I know you want to hug me.
And when you come to sit down,
Make sure you seat my household.
And not only should you wash your hands after using the restroom, you should also use lots of hand sanitizer. And sanitize your hands again. And sanitize your hands again. Did I mention hand sanitizer?
Hi kids, and welcome back to Kids Corner. Guess what? I miss you. But I hope that seeing me here in the worship program, along with all your friends, has made you feel a little bit better for the past year and a half during this time apart. As our church prepares for in-person worship, I've been getting the garden space ready for us so that we can safely meet together. But if you can't meet in person yet, that's okay. Above all, I want you to be safe, and if that means you worship from home for a little bit longer, that's okay. We'll still find a way for us to learn about God together, because that's what I miss the most, us learning and studying the Bible together. When we would meet for Sabbath school in person, I never saw it as me teaching you as much as I saw it as us learning together. So in a way, you were also teaching me, just like some of you taught us in this classic Kids Corner. Roll tape!
What is selfishness?
Selfishness is not thinking about others and how they feel.
It's when you don't think about others and only yourself.
To want everything that makes you happy and not share it with anybody else.
What does it look like to be selfish?
When you're not sharing, you're being selfish.
When I wanted the last piece of ice cream yesterday.
So someone had a cookie at recess time. She had a friend and she let her have a cookie. But she said, don't tell anyone else. I think that was selfish. I remember this story from the Bible called The Good Samaritan. And it was about someone that got robbed, and then a priest was there walking by. He saw the man, but he didn't help him because he was only thinking about himself.
What's kindness?
When you're nice to other people.
Kind people think about other people before themselves.
How do you show kindness to people around you?
That if someone fell, you could ask if they're okay.
It's when you're caring for others. Be like friends with them and stuff like that.
Helping people when they need help. Caring.
One example is also in The Good Samaritan. The Samaritan came, but the Samaritan helped the man that was robbed and sheltered him and healed his wounds. He was being kind. He was thinking about other people before himself. My brother showed me kindness when he let me play on the computer first.
One day I was playing, and then there was one of my friends wasn't playing with anyone, so I went to go play with him.
My sister was kind to me because she let me read her book.
Is kindness in the Bible?
Yes. Can I get my Bible? Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. 1 Corinthians 13:4.
Kindness takes patience. But when you're kind, sometimes you really need to think about it. People think about themselves more, so it's easier to be selfish.
Kindness is harder, but it's the better way. Yeah, the right thing is harder, but you should do it.
Try to be kind to you. Try to be kind to you today.
It's offering time in Hollywood. I am sharing with you all here from Big Sky Country, Montana, surrounded by the beautiful national forests and desert mountains behind me to my left. I am humbled and grateful and reminded of the Bible verse from Matthew 6:25. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, about your clothes or your body or what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to the life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers in the fields grow? They do not labor or spin. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown away into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the Heavenly Father knows that what we need. But first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. It's been a personal challenge for me when I read about how much and how many people in our own neighborhoods and in other countries in the world are struggling right now with just getting basic access to food and necessities of life. I struggle with myself daily, feeling the pressures of continued work and responsibilities to just keep up. But I believe that tithes and offerings is a wonderful reminder to help me grow my faith, because it's one way in my life to let go and know that God is taking care of me.
Got the job done. My mama said I'm on my own now. When I need help, I tell myself I got this, but it's too much to carry on alone. If you ask, you shall receive. It's not easy as it seems, especially for me. If only I could kiss the down goodbye, wouldn't it be nice to call a friend to help me bear the load? I've carried on my own, someone to hold my hand and lead me through the storm. Save me when I'm underwater. I've been let down, soaking in and disappointments, the ones I thought I'd count on, let me drown. I've given up. I couldn't find a lifeline, no trace of light to guide me back to shore. But oh, how life can be. The ones I never dreamed came and rescued me. It showed me that grace and empathy are given and received. So if you just call a friend to help you bear the load you've carried on my own, someone to hold your hand and lead you through the storm, save me when you're underwater. So if you find a friend to help you bear the load you've carried on my own, then you should hold their hand and lead them through the storm, save them when they're underwater. Oh, oh, oh.
Good morning. My name is Kirsten, and I'm one of the elders here at Hollywood, for those of you who don't know me. Today, I'm actually coming to you from Vancouver, Washington, where I'm spending a little bit of time with my mom. And the rest of our family is back home in California. So you might be seeing me on my phone camera or on Zoom for different parts of this sermon. I don't have Bill with me, who normally takes his camera and tripod and perfectly gets everything put together to film our worship pieces. So this morning you get me in whatever form I can communicate to you with, and this Nat. I'm really excited that this Apocalypse series I get to share with you how I've seen God, like reminders of God, while I was watching the series Orange is the New Black, which, just for the sake of convenience and brevity, I'll refer to as Orange from here on out. The song that we just sang with RJ, Underwater, was sung by Danielle Brooks. That's the name of the actress who played the part of Tasty, who I will talk to you about later. But now I want to share with you a scene from the series that highlights the message of the song so well to start us off this morning. Let's watch together.
Lie down, Mary. It won't be long now.
I saw the light, I saw the light. No more in darkness, no more at night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw you should be in the center. No more in darkness, no more in light. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. Praise the Lord. I saw the light.
That scene was one of many others that would warm my heart as I watched the series. A very difficult series to watch at times. Themes of racism, rape, inequality, violence, mental health, a broken prison system with staff that both acted on behalf of and against its inmates, and so much more were addressed. Christopher welcomed you a few minutes ago and used a string of words to aptly describe this longest running and most watched Netflix series. Its 7th and final season was released on July 26, 2019, the summer before our pandemic year started. It's both comedy and drama, and it's based on Piper Kerman's 2010 memoir, Orange is the New Black, My Year in a Women's Prison, about her experiences at FCI Danbury, a minimum security federal prison. Let's take a look at what the series creator Genji Cohen had to say in an interview. You won't hear or see the interviewer or their questions, just Genji herself. Let's listen.
When I read the book, I loved the characters. And there were so many stories to tell in that book. And there were characters who I don't think you could sell a series on, but Piper was the perfect entree into this world. You could take this yuppie white girl and follow her in, and through her as like a gateway drug, you can tell all these other stories as well. And I got really excited about that. We did a lot of research. We read a lot of books. We had a visit. We went to Chino, a women's facility in Chino with all the writers. And we went at first and we looked around and we're like, this isn't that bad. And within 10 or 15 minutes, we could not wait to get out of there. It was just like, you can't leave, and you're under the thumb of this bureaucracy, and it's oppressive, and it was not a place you wanted to be. But I was speaking with the assistant warden who had worked in a men's prison, and I said, what's the difference here? And he said, men are out for themselves and women are communal. They form families, they share. And I thought that was just a really interesting difference. I never set out to make Oz. It wasn't men's prison, it was women's prison. And there's a great history of shows about women's prison. And we wanted to just put our spin on it. Maybe viewers will be surprised by the tone of the show. It's not a dark, ominous women in prison thing. I think humor is a survival technique, and I think if you just did a straight drama about prison, it would become so oppressive. No one would want to be there. It would become oppressive to write. And I find everything funny, which gets me in trouble sometimes. So I think tonally, it's another hybrid. We can go for our dramatic moments and we can go for our comedic moments and not apologize and not have to conform to a specific form for that. I just want them talking. I want people to have discussions or fights or arguments or I just want people to talk about it and be invested. I want them to fall in love with these women. I love these women, even when they do horrible things. I want them to fall in love with the characters we've made and care about them. And by caring about them, start maybe thinking about broader issues and how what's happening to them reverberates. I'm proud to turn on the TV and see 100 different women on the screen of every age and every color and every race. I have not seen that before. And to be able to tell all their stories is a privilege and something that's, I've been surprised hasn't been out there before. And I feel really proud of that we put all these amazing ladies up there and get to tell their stories. They're criminals, but but they're amazing.
Genji's words and thoughts connected with the way I experienced the series, and I read those words after I'd watched it. Christopher invited me to watch Orange with him from beginning to end after he had already watched the entire thing himself. We had time, so I agreed. This seemed to be the year of watching challenging web series for us as a family, so why not? While Orange may not sound or might not seem like a God or a sermon kind of thing, it's not disconnected. This morning, my goal is not so much to present a final thesis or an idea to you, as is more to just share with you what I observed, how it resonated with my faith, and to invite you to do some exploring and wondering if you're of your own, if you haven't already. It's easy for us to look at film, media, think it's just entertainment that can be labeled as good or bad. Those of us who call ourselves Christian can often get judgy about that and miss some deeper experiences in which we can wrestle with challenges and people and think about how to be God's friends in the world. I'm quite clear that Genji wasn't out to get us to believe something about God in her series. I mean, she and I aren't necessarily trying to do the same thing, yet we both care about people. I do believe that film, in this case, a long web series, can create space for us to look at other people in new ways, and maybe even feel motivated to do something about the world that we find ourselves in and the injustices that we find in it, or have a conversation with someone else. I'd like to share with you one question posed by an audience member to Taylor Schindling, who played the role of Piper Chapman, and what she said in response.
You touched upon this a little bit in your question, but I was just wondering if any of you could address it a little bit more in terms of what you've learned in the show about the criminal justice system, and because I feel like in watching this show as a viewer, you learn to see quote unquote criminals not as criminals anymore, and you learn to empathize with them and see them as humans. But I don't think the rest of the world is at that point yet, or the rest of this country is at that point. So I was wondering if anyone could address what you've kind of learned.
I think you touched on something that's really, really beautiful. And what I've found... You're totally okay.
I love
You're totally okay.
I'm like so flattered.
I'm so happy to be talking with you. You're so okay. Like we can totally just chill and talk. Okay. Because like what you're saying is so on point. That one of the things that's happening in our criminal justice system today is that we're punishing people who need to be treated.
Right.
And just like Natasha was talking about, it's 85% of women that are incarcerated are there based on mental health issues, addiction issues, domestic violence issues, property crimes that have nothing, they're completely nonviolent. And so we're punishing people who need treatment, who have untreated trauma, who are suffering desperately, and I think Kate sort of spoke about that. And what I love about the show is that we're kind of blowing that open a little bit and saying that we're punishing the wrong people. We're punishing people that are really, really sick and really need help, and not even sick in many. I'm speaking more about addiction, but broken and need help. But it's a great point.
Taylor's words reminded me that actors and actresses aren't simply mannequins projecting whatever image they're told to on screen. They can be invested in the stories and the themes in those stories that they are a part of. Again, something I wouldn't know unless I took time to listen and observe. So earlier, Christopher mentioned Tiffany Doggett, also known as Pensatucky. I could not stand her. She irked me. She seemed to believe that it was her mission to bring people to Jesus, but at the same time, she pushed them away. I preferred not to watch her or listen to her. Take a look at this scene.
The first one was a spiritual rapture. And the second one coming is a physical one.
Ah, I see.
Okay?
Got it.
And you're not invited because they don't allow gay people on the rapture bus.
There's a bus? Are all the seats already taken by Appalachian Methods?
Oh man, you're just gonna get it, Ross, aren't you? Do we have to go back to the dryer?
Pensatucky's story does not end there. And sorry, there's going to be a few spoilers this morning. I'll do my best not to destroy your potential viewing of this series for yourself. I really didn't anticipate that I would come to love Pensatucky, and that came through an understanding of her backstory of abuse and mistreatment. I cheered for her when she chose to step away from a gaslighting prison guard who physically mistreated her while acting like he loved her, and walked into an understanding of her own value and self-worth. Watch with me the scene in which fellow inmate Suzanne coaches her in a study session before she took her GED. Suzanne herself suffered from mental illness. One broken person helping another. Watch.
Can't believe this test is in an hour. I'm so gonna fail this. Thanks, Travis Kimball. You were right.
Who's Travis Kimball?
Oh, he was a guy in 10th grade that always said, "You're dumb as a dog."
You're not dumb. You just got a special brain, like me. I know that this might be hard for you to believe, but when I was in school, people used to call me names too.
Really?
Yeah, I know. But Mommy said, I can't listen to the people who know the least about me. I gotta listen to the people who know me the most. And I know you pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Better than anyone in this prison? Yeah. And better than the whole world, maybe?
Yeah.
Then, as the world Tiffany Doggett expert, I say Travis Kimball doesn't know what the he is talking about.
Yeah. Married his aunt.
I think you're smart. And I think you're gonna pass this test. When I had a big test, Mommy would say I could have all the pineapple juice that I wanted after.
Why? Pineapple juice tastes like farts.
Disagree. Well, what was the reward you liked when you were a kid?
If I was really calm and I was quiet and my mom had a man friend over, I would get breakfast for dinner.
Oh, breakfast for dinner? It's done.
How are we gonna get
No. It's done. Now, where was the first of the 13 colonies located?
I loved that moment so much. There were so many bad words exchanged in that conversation that most well-spoken Christians would shy away from. But those words cannot mask the beautiful exchange occurring between Suzanne and Pensatucky. Something to think about. The other character I wanted to expose you to was Tasha Jefferson, who's also known as Tasty. She was born to two 15-year-old kids who gave her up for adoption. Tasty became a ward of a very broken foster system and eventually landed in the home of a woman who ran a drug trafficking business. All of her children helped in that business. Tasty was smart, funny, brilliant, angry, depressed, and passionate. She experienced racism in a prison system that cared for her no more than the foster care system did. Her brown skin put her in a position to be accused of murdering a prison staff member who actually had been murdered by other white prison staff. It felt like Tasty could never get a break, but with the help of one prison warden who, despite his flaws, truly cared about the women he served, she found a sense of purpose when fellow inmate and friend Pusey Washington was murdered by a prison guard. Watch with me this scene when she speaks out against prison inequalities and injustices during the release of a famous white woman who had gotten special treatment in jail.
Judy! Judy King! Judy King, are you a Muslim now? Judy King! Are you a Muslim now? Judy King, are you?
You want me to talk first or make an introduction?
Are you getting back together?
No, I'll start.
Did they hurt you at all?
Good morning. My name is Tasha Jefferson, and I'm an inmate here at Litchfield. 2 days ago, Our friend and fellow inmate, Pusey Washington, was murdered by a prison guard. Pusey Washington. And I'm saying her name again because it can't ever be said enough. Now, as you can see, Judy King ain't injured, and she ain't a hostage. And she has a statement that she'd like to make at this time.
And good morning, my fellow Americans. This prison has put me through unimaginable suffering, and I'm not a victim of this riot.
She will not. She is not gonna be making a statement. Sorry. She will not be speaking for us because Judy King can't speak for the inmates of this prison. She was kept separate from us, held in a private room with better treatment and a seltzer maker. And moments after our friend Pusey Washington was murdered by a guard for doing nothing wrong, Judy King was packing her bags to go home on early release because she's rich and white and powerful. Now, our fight is not with Judy King. Our fight is with a system that don't give a damn about poor people and brown people and poor brown people. Our fight is with the folks who hold our demands in their hands. Which you people need to read, by the way, and stop watching this fool coming out of here online and get a hold of our demand list, because those demands are fair and necessary and show that we intend to keep this demonstration peaceful and focused on change. Now, Judy King is free to leave. She's not a hostage and you can have her back. Judy, get the hell out of here.
Judy King, are you all right? Judy, were you treated well? Were you treated?
If you've ever thought you couldn't do something before, couldn't speak for someone, I hope that Tasty inspires you. She displays one way to love fellow humans, to speak truth to the powers that don't treat all humans with dignity and respect. So that's what I wanted to share with you from the series itself. 7 seasons is a lot of material, and it's full of many stories of women who do and don't belong in jail. Women who have the capacity to both hurt and care for each other. Women who are fighting for something better when they can, despite all the works and the systems that are against them. Just when you think you understand that this person is bad or this person is good, they do something that makes you reevaluate. Maybe nobody's on any particular side of the bad or good fence. We're all this jumbled heap of stuff. And sometimes we land on the right side and sometimes things don't go so well. As I watched the fictional characters on screen, I thought about the many humans that they represented and wondered how God could even find them, and if they could even find God. In a place where everything and everyone seems to be against you at times. I remember hearing a message while I was growing up. I don't remember who said it. It wasn't my parents, but I heard it somewhere. That if you go into the movie theater, God's angels won't follow you inside. So if God's angels won't go inside a theater, why would they or God go inside of a prison or other places we humans call bad and do our best to stay away from? Pastor Branden shared a text with those of us on the worship committee as we prepared for this year's Apocalypse series, Acts 17:27. It says that they should seek God in the hope that they might feel their way toward him and find him. Yet he's actually not far from each one of us. This verse displays the way it must be to find God sometimes, to feel our way toward him. I would imagine it's like playing Marco Polo in a pool, which is kind of like a tag game in the water. You know, one person is it, their eyes are closed, they yell Marco, everybody else yells Polo, and it has to find their way to somebody close enough so they could tag them, and then that person is it. I imagine at times their target must feel so far away, even though they're just outside of reach, or maybe within reach. I think finding God can feel like that sometimes. There's so much clouding our view of God, yet she's there. I guess then that maybe God does enter prison or other bad places, so I can find him where I'm at, even if it's a bad place. I'd like you to read together with me a larger portion of Acts 17, verses 17 through 28, and we'll project those words on the screen for you. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace, day by day, with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They say this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Then they took him and brought him to a meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? You are bringing some strange ideas to our ears, and we would like to know what it is or what they mean." All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship, and this is what I am going to proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he is not served by human hands, as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man, he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring." I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I noticed, and I hope that as you read with me, you paid attention to what caught your attention. One thing, Paul was in Athens and he was speaking to non-Christians, but he did a lot of observing before he ever opened his mouth. And when he spoke, he showed a sensitivity to who they were and what was important to them. As a Christian, I need to be sure that when I talk about God to someone else, I think about what's important to them and relate what I have to share to that. Pennsatucky shared her faith most likely in the way that it was demonstrated to her. And at some point, she figured out that did not help her, and it did not help anyone else. And it certainly didn't do God any good. Number 2, God is Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in temples built by human hands. You and I create space for specific things, but God is not limited by those places the way that we are. Something else to think about. And number 3, God gives everyone life and breath. All of us are his offspring. From one man, he made all nations, and he's not far from any one of us. That's encouraging news to me. I don't know about you. God is present. He is real. He is here and everywhere. He wants to be found by me. I understand that orange is the new black is not for everyone. There's plenty in the series to offend someone, and some of the images and themes may connect too closely with something you are or have faced in the past. But I encourage you to go and explore, asking for God to give you ears to hear and eyes to see what she wants you to hear and see. I watched a series called Schitt's Creek about wealthy white people and small town white people learning to see past their assumption-based prejudices, to see the value in each other. What prejudices do you have? And are you willing to move past them to see God and others more clearly? Will you be surprised by where you see God at work? He works and he lives and he moves and he breathes among all of us broken and damaged people. Sometimes it looks like Suzanne helping a Pennsatucky, God through the Holy Spirit moving through them. Sometimes it looks like a Tasty finding her voice. Sometimes it looks like God came and left as we get better, and then we slide back into old habits and patterns. And then sometimes we find him again. I'd like you to join me as we sing together another song sung by Danielle Brooks called Blessings. Imagine yourself as a blessing to others and not a hindrance as they feel their way toward God.
When the tide comes rolling in and I can't keep up with it, when the road seems so wrong and I question my will to go on, I gotta remember the count 1, 2, 3, I'm still on my feet. Count 4, 5, 6, no, I can't forget. At the end of the day, well, there's blood flowing through my veins. I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. When I feel unqualified, that I can't make it through, no matter how hard I try. When my dreams get deferred and I'm holding the weight of the world, I gotta remember, I count 1, 2, 3, I'm still on my feet. Count 4, 5, 6, no, I can't forget. At the end of the day, while there's blood flowing through my veins, I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. Oh, I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. Hey. At the end of the day, while there's blood flowing through my veins, I've got blessings, blessings to count. Oh, I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. I've got blessings, blessings, blessings to count. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've got blessings, blessings to count. Oh.
Bow your heads with me for prayer. Dear God, May we have the courage to fight our way to you, much like the woman in the Bible who touched Jesus' garment after weaving her way through the crowds. May we have the grace to give space for each other to find you, whether through a direct encounter with you or through an interaction with us. Thank you for loving us enough to step into our spaces so that you can be found. Amen. Goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you right here at home next week.
Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer. Yeah. The voices sing. Oh. Yeah, there's nothing like your nearness. There's nothing like your closeness. Yeah. 'Cause when I'm with you, I come alive, I come alive. Oh, just worship him now. Oh, pull on heaven tonight. There's nothing like your nearness. Hey, heaven come. Come a little closer tonight. Heaven come. Come a little closer tonight. Heaven come. Come a little closer tonight. Heaven come. I feel the fullness of life. Oh, heaven come. Come a little closer tonight. Heaven come. I feel the fullness of life. So heaven come. Come a little closer tonight. Hey, heaven come. We just love